Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to Art. This week we are creating our own love monster. We are going to use shapes to create our love monster. We are going to try to make and cut out some paper hearts. If you have a hard time doing this, you can draw your hearts, or you can draw a different shape. We're going to try to do this together as best as we can. Remember, we are learning, we make mistakes, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and get started. We will need scissors, glue, markers, and a pencil to create this monster. We're going to begin by drawing the top of his head, starting at the top of our paper, and we're going to draw a little curved line with two triangles for his ears, or her ears. And then for their body, we're going to draw two straight lines that go all the way down, and then a line that connects them together called a horizontal line. Now we're going to draw our monster's eyes. Our monster has one big eye and one smaller eye. You can place them close to each other or a little farther apart. And then inside the eye is the pupil, and you can place this looking to the left, to the right, or you can have them cross-eyed, however you want. Then you're going to add some eyebrows and a curved line with some triangles coming out for his mouth and his little teeth sticking out. He's got some toes that are 3 circles for 1 foot. And the other foot is 3 more circles. So that's 6 circles for his toes. 6 circles for his toes. Erase the line in the middle so that you can draw his little toenails, which are also little triangles. And you can point them down or point them up. I made sure I pointed mine down so that it looks like they're sticking out. We're going to draw his tail, so we're going to swoop that line, so a little curved line, and then a straight line to connect it, another horizontal line, and he's got his arms, which is like a big letter C with a little letter C inside to connect it the other side. And then we're going to draw a bumpy line for his fingers. So it's almost like an M, but an extra little bump at the end for his finger. Erase that line so you can see his arm sticking out in front of his body. And then we're going to add some patterns to his arm, and that's going to be some zigzag lines. You can create different kind of lines if you want. This is your love monster, and you can create your love monster any way you want. We're going to do the same on the other side, a backward C with a little backward C, and then a bumpy line, kind of like an M, with an extra little bump for his extra little finger. And then erase the inside and add your pattern. Little zigzag lines or wavy lines. But it also creates texture, so it looks like he's got some fur on his arms by creating these zigzag lines. And his tail needs some zigzag lines, some patterns on his tail. Now I'm going to use my markers, and I can choose any color that I want. From the book, the love monster is red, but if you don't want to use red, if you want to use green or purple or orange or yellow, you're welcome to do that. We're going to go ahead and color in our love monster. I'm coloring around all the different objects that I don't want to color red to make sure that I'm coloring nice and neatly and staying inside those lines. So I have my red love monster, and then I'm taking a black marker and I'm tracing around all the different pieces of my love monster, his arms, his toes, and I'm making the fur stand out. And then I added some little lines to create his little fur on his body. Now that I have my love monster, I'm going to give my love monster a heart. If you have a hard time doing this, that's okay. We are trying. We're going to fold our paper in half, and we're going to make sure it's like a book. And see where that fold, I creased it right there. I'm going to make sure that I draw an arch, a little curved line coming from that fold, and then a diagonal line to connect it together. And I want to make sure that I placed it on that fold so that when I cut it out, it becomes one piece together. Now, if you accidentally cut it on the other side and it becomes two pieces, that's okay. You can just glue them together on your paper. So there we have our little heart for our love monster. And like I said, if you have a hard time creating this, that's okay. You can cut out a different shape. You can cut out a triangle or a rectangle or a square, or you can draw a heart on your love monster. And that's okay. We are trying. I'm going to show you how to do that again. We are folding our paper in half and creasing it. And then on that fold, I'm going to draw a arch and then a diagonal line. And that's going to create one side of our heart. And when we cut out both pieces together, it creates a nice heart that is symmetrical. And that means it's the same on both sides. A heart is a shape that is symmetrical. Now we're just going to add our little hearts around our love monster. And if you have a hard time with this, you can draw the hearts, or you can draw some squares, or some rectangles, or some lines. You don't have to make hearts, but it's your project, and it's up to you what you create. I'm showing you several times how to make these hearts so that you can see clearly what to do in case you're having a hard time. It is a difficult thing to draw, to create a heart. So no worries if you mess up, just try again. So I have lots of little squares of paper that I cut, and I'm doing this lots and lots of times so that you have lots of chances to see how to do it. It's an arch and then a diagonal line to close it together. And then I'm turning my paper, making sure I keep my fingers away from the blade and keeping my body safe. So I'm adding all these different hearts and making sure that as I glue, it's just a dot, not a lot of glue. One little dot works just perfectly. One more time, I'm going to show you how to make these hearts. I fold the paper like a book. I do an arch and a diagonal line. I cut on that line very carefully, keeping my fingers away from the blade, and then I open it up. Now I'm using a marker, and I want to make sure that the marker doesn't show. So the marker and the glue go on the same side. And there we go. So if it's difficult for you, no worries, you can do a different shape. It is okay to make mistakes. You are trying, you are learning, that's okay. It is a challenge to do the first time. But once you get it, you're going to be so proud of yourself. It's going to be great. Now, like I said, if you're having a hard time cutting your hearts, you can draw hearts. So I did this arch, which looks like an M, and then I do 2 diagonal lines, and that creates the heart. You can also do an arch and a diagonal line on the same side, and make sure that you color them in nice and neatly. I'm using a purple marker, but you can use any color that you want. This is your artwork. You can add a blue heart or a green heart, any color that you want. So it's a little arch with a diagonal line, and the same thing on the other side, an arch with a diagonal line to create a heart. and color it in nice and neatly. Show you again an arch with a diagonal line, an arch with a diagonal line. Color, color, color. Make it look beautiful. One more time. An arch, another arch, a diagonal line going in, and another diagonal line going in. Now, if you're still having a hard time making your hearts, that's okay. You tried, and I love that you tried. You did your best. So if you're still having a hard time, you can do circles or squares or diamonds, any shape that you want to add, you can do that. All I ask is that you try to see if you can do it. If you can't, I'm so happy that you tried, and that's what I love, is that you tried, and that's okay if you didn't get it this time. You're going to get it next time. I know, because you are an artist and you can do it. I'm going to add one last thing before we finish. I'm going to add these little blue circles. And that's just to show you that it's okay if you can't make the hearts. You can do different shapes, and that works great. All right, boys and girls, here's our love monster. We used different shapes to create our love monster and did our best creating hearts, which are symmetrical, the same on both sides. I cannot wait to see these beautiful love monsters that you create. I hope you have fun and enjoy. And remember, if you make a mistake, it's okay. That means you are trying. Thank you so much, boys and girls. We'll see you again next time.